Let's talk about who the Levites were and how they were connected to inheritance, specifically the Lord being their inheritance, and how this is kind of the background of some of the language of Psalm 16, and then ultimately how Psalm 16 in the book of Acts is connected to the work of the Messiah, specifically his resurrection. So as most of you probably know, the Levites are named after Levi, who was the third born son between Jacob and Leah. And his name comes from the Hebrew verb lavah, which means to attach, because Leah said, now my husband will become attached to me. And so she named her son Levi. Now, fast forward in the biblical narrative to the infamous incident of the golden calf in the book of Exodus. And it's the tribe of Levi who respond to Moses' call basically to be the punishing sword against those who were apostate in regard to the golden calf. So afterward, the tribe of Levi is set aside. And within that broader tribe, the family of Aaron, of course, is set aside. And you have the Aaronic priest who are the priesthood at the sanctuary. But the Levites also are going to be, of course, ministers in a variety of different ways at the sanctuary. Now, when it came time to receive inheritance, of course, the promised land is divvied up according to all the various tribes. Some have more, some have less, some are north, some are south, some are east, some are west. But all of them, with one exception, the tribe of Levi, receive an allotment of land as their inheritance. So what was the inheritance of the Levites? Well, the Lord is their inheritance. Specifically, they are given 48 cities, 6 of which are these cities of refuge that are kind of scattered throughout the promised land. So there's not like one particular territory that's the Levite territory. Instead, their cities are scattered among the various tribal allotments that are delineated in the book of Numbers. So they had the cities, they had a little pasture land around them, but basically in the language that's repeated several times in the Torah, the Levites do not have an inheritance. Instead, their inheritance is the Lord. And if you're reading through the Bible along with me in Deuteronomy 12 today, we heard that same kind of language, that the Levites, along with some of the more economically disadvantaged people, are to be included in various meals that are celebrated by the non-Levitical Israelites. Now, kind of the background, that's kind of the background that I want you to keep in mind about the Levites and them being ministers at the sanctuary and the Lord being their portion, their inheritance. Kind of keep that in mind and then go to Psalm 16. Now in Psalm 16, we have this language used. This is verse 5. The Lord is my chosen portion and my cup. You hold my lot. And then verse 6. The lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Indeed, I have a beautiful inheritance. Now this language of portion, this language of inheritance, I believe is David playing off the Levitical background of that tribe, set aside for sacred work, set aside for duties there at the sanctuary, the Lord being their inheritance. I think that's the background that David is drawing upon as he himself talks about how his inheritance, his portion, his cup is the Lord himself. Now, with that background in mind, from the Levites to their inheritance to David in Psalm 16, go to the book of Acts. And when the resurrection of Jesus Christ is talked about, we have Psalm 16 quoted. And that psalm talks about how the Holy One will not undergo decay. It's the idea that the body of Christ will not undergo decay while he's in the tomb. And then, of course, he is resurrected from that tomb. But in applying Psalm 16 to the Messiah, we also have this same kind of language about the Lord being his portion, the Lord being his inheritance, also then, by implication, applied to the Messiah as well. So what is the inheritance of the Messiah? What is the portion of the Messiah? The Lord, his Father. That's his portion, and that's his inheritance. And then, because we are part of the Messiah, baptized into his body, his brothers and sisters, his brethren, as the book of Hebrews will call us, therefore, also our inheritance is the Lord. That is the portion. He is the portion of our inheritance. He is our cup. Indeed, the lines have fallen to us in beautiful and pleasant places. We have a beautiful inheritance because that inheritance is none other than God himself. He is the one who gives us his good gifts. He's the one who makes us his children. He's the one who blesses us with all the heavenly blessings that he wishes us to have. And that inheritance is ours because of the Messiah, the son of David, the priest, not according to the tribe of Levi, not according to the family of Aaron, but according to the order of Melchizedek.